Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 507. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Becca Syme from the Better Faster Academy. Hey, Becca, how are you?
I am great. I am in a warm climate for the winter, and that is like the best ever. Love it.
I saw
Highly
some of your
recommend.
pictures. I,
Yeah.
I I'm in a semi-warm, but not as warm as you climate, and I was a little jealous. But I mean, it's awesome. You deserve that nice warmer climate.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to
Of
be here.
course. Of course. Yeah, I mean, when I started thinking about having a couple of shows here at the kind of bookends for 20 end of 2023, beginning of 2024, a lot of folks in the industry very much and myself included respect and value your thoughts on where self-publishing is headed, the internal and external things that authors are considering as they evaluate this year and go into next year. And I thought, no better person than you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. I love wrap ups and starts, so this is perfect.
Yay. Oh, good. And you are one of the speakers at my self-publishing live event coming
Yes.
up in October. We have, I didn't know how many tickets we'd sell. We have more than half of the tickets sold to our relatively intimate event in
Yay.
October. Selfpublishinglive.com. If you want to see Becca and me and go to North Carolina, there's also a virtual option if you don't want to go to North Carolina. Uh, you can at selfpublishinglive.com. So yeah. And even though we don't have the same preference in college basketball teams, it is
Oh,
okay.
we
We're,
do now though. We do.
oh,
This is
so
the
it's
update.
official. You've moved.
I have moved. The only reason I was a Duke fan was because of Krzyzewski. Like he was
Okay.
really my like sort of coaching idol.
Yeah.
Um, and I am not in general a Duke fan. Like I'm not a fan of Duke as an organization.
Yeah.
I am much prefer UNC, but because of Krzyzewski was always a rival, and Hubie Davis is amazing. And
Yeah.
so I am a newly minted Carolina fan, which I never thought I would say in my entire lifetime. But
That's
I'm actually
awesome.
more excited to go to Chapel Hill than I would have been to go to wherever it is that Duke is located that I've repressed. I can't even
Durham,
remember
very,
anymore.
very, very close by.
Yeah, I don't say the word anymore. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's awesome. There's a cool little. I haven't visited there myself. A cool little UNC basketball museum at the stadium. So,
I'm so excited.
yeah, we'll have to talk about that more. But yeah, I'm excited to have you there, to host you there, and yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you.
you've got so much great stuff. Better Faster Academy is amazing. Your Dear Writer, You Need to Quit. Books are amazing. Um, Going into the end of the year, I mean, I know you've got some new stuff coming up in 2024. What are you like? I know it's crass to recommend your own things, but what do you recommend folks kind of start with when they're like, "Ooh, Becca sounds cool."
So if you haven't heard of me before, I would probably start with the Quitcast, just
Okay.
the YouTube channel, and which is now also on audio. The easiest way to know if you're going to identify with anything that I say is to consume content first, like just to see
Yeah.
if you like my perspective. So the Quitcast is probably the best, which is now, like I said, is also on audio, which the last time I was here, we promised that and now we've delivered. So you can
Yeah.
find us on like Spotify and all the places now.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, people love to listen to things in different places. We started going over
Yeah.
to YouTube for the very same reason,
Hmm.
in reverse. So that's great. Definitely, folks, go check out Quickcast wherever audio and video is consumed.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, and for my side, the 5-day author ad profit challenge returns on January 17th. I have no idea what number this is. Number maybe 16 or 15 that we've done it. You can join to get brand new videos because I'm re-recording them next week, and free support at authorsadvertise.com. Whoop whoop.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Yay.
Becca, I'm not going to hold you to coming to it. You've got plenty of stuff going on.
Although to be fair, that is one of my goals this year is to try
Okay.
to do uh, uh more better uh tactics with my AMS ads.
Oh,
I worked on
nice.
Facebook ads a couple of years ago. I feel like AMS ads might end up being my 2024 goal, so we'll
Oh, that'd
see.
be so cool. Well, if I do
Yeah.
see in there, I will say hi.
Yeah. I'm excited. I love brand new videos, so have fun
Yay.
recording those.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm excited too. So let's get into previous week's question. I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on this too, Becca. So, based on the success authors have had with Kickstarter in 2022, 2023, do you think you'll plan one for 2024? Caribou Buziak said, I hope to try another campaign later in 2024. The first in 2021 was close to funding, but it didn't quite cross the finish line. Oh, that's tough. For this next one, I'm going to try to set a smaller goal of 500-ish instead of 2,500. It'll be an easier target to try for, and if it funds, then I'll have a chance to follow through the fulfillment and learn about that. And I'm sure fulfilling a smaller campaign for my first one will be much less stressful. I love that, Caribou. Second comment over to you, Becca.
Sean Stevenson said, I don't think I will go the Kickstarter route. I'm writing children's and middle grade fiction, which doesn't seem to be quite the right audience for a Kickstarter. I am keeping an eye on it, though. Nice.
I have seen a couple children's book authors have some success on there.
Yeah,
But
I actually funded 2 different children's books this year.
really?
So I might QTP that. Not that I'm trying to convince anybody to do Kickstarter if they don't want to, but
Yeah.
if that's the only reason you're not, I've seen several children's books fund well on there.
Good old question the premise. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Callan Jones said, no, writing the next book is plenty at the moment. And that is perfectly
Yep.
fine, Callan.
Yep.
Awesome. Becca, you doing any Kickstarters in 2024?
Oh yeah. Yeah. At
Yeah?
least one. There's a possibility that we'll do 2. We've been doing this kind of a trajectory of doing author games, like
Mm.
card decks and games that you play. I'm just
I put
actually
some up.
this
I
week.
put this, the stuck lists
Yeah,
are in the back
the
there.
stuck list. I love it. We did one this year that is a game that you actually play. So it's not just like a deck that you use, more like tarot, but it's a game that you actually play. And I'm just about to do fulfillment this week. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, we're for sure going to do Kickstarters. What about you? Are you going to do one in
I've
2024?
thought about it. I've definitely thought about it. There's so much going on. I think this year I really realized I don't run one business. I run 4 businesses that work together.
Yep.
And that makes me run into struggles whenever I try to add something new because, oh, wait, I already have 4 businesses. So,
Yeah. And
um,
they all have to be managed, right? Like you've
and
got to
yeah.
keep running all of them.
Yeah, I can't just let them do themselves because that
Yeah.
doesn't work so well. But I have thought about it because I enjoy the process of setting them up because I enjoy marketing. I
Right.
just so much about marketing, but uh, I don't love how much of my time and effort it takes up for the month that I'm running it.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. So if you have other Kickstarter comments there, go to somewherebookshow.com comment section in our Somewhere Book Show after party as well. And you could get your answer read on the air by me and someone else, which is always very exciting. Well, Becca, are you ready for today's top story?
I am.
Awesome. So, top story for today, a little bit of a cheat, the year in review. AI, direct selling, and personalized career planning are some of the biggest stories of 2023, according to our previous episodes of the show. Whether it's AI narration, AI book marketing, or AI writing assistance, everyone in the author community has discussed the ills and excitement behind artificial intelligence throughout the year. As KU pages read, payments went down and account closers shot up. Success stories in direct selling inspired authors to use tools like Shopify and WooCommerce to sell books directly from their own websites. And lastly, more authors than ever are talking about Clifton strengths and the Enneagram, with many openly discussing their types and numbers these days. These authors and teachers like Becca Syme and Claire Taylor regularly discuss how knowing their strengths and type help them write better, faster, or simply just keep their sanity. So, Becca, obviously we're going to have things to talk about with strengths and
Yeah.
typing later. AI, direct selling, man, it feels like everyone's got an opinion. And when it comes to AI, if your opinion is different than their opinion, problems can arise.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really tough.
I
It's
mean,
really tough.
it's hard. It's going to be hard to exist, I think, in a world that was the way that it was, because it's just not that old world anymore, right? It's kind of similar to the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic world. Like it's
Mm,
hard to only exist in a mindset that has not been disrupted. And so the quicker I think we can get into a space where we're willing to think through and understand how disruption works and to adapt however we can, I think is going to be better
yeah.
for us. Not no one is owed your opinion about anything. I think there is an element of it's okay to come to your opinion, especially because it feels like all of the stuff that I've seen about AI recently is like it's changing. There are things we don't know yet. There are things we don't
Yeah.
understand. We don't know how the laws are going to work. We don't know if more ethical versions of it are going to emerge. Like we don't understand a lot of it because we're still so early in the curve. And so I think a lot of the discussions about AI also tend to be we need to make a decision because we need to know everything right now. And I would say, let's everyone have our opinions. And also, let's always be looking for new information. And let's always be willing to consider more than what we have already considered previously. Because the more we
Yeah.
stop and close ourselves off to any kind of relationship or question or thought, the more likely we are to miss whatever we need to do to pivot into the new version of the publishing industry. And
Yeah, I
that is
really
not
like
a
that.
right, like that's not a pro or anti. It literally is every single person is going to be in a different space on the continuum, but we are all also going to move because this is just how adoption curves work. Everyone is going to move in their opinion on this topic over the course of the next 4 years. That the adoption curve has to go all the way through all of its cycles. And just us understanding that it's okay to keep learning and talking. What I think we can't afford to do anymore is not talk about it. Like, I don't think we can afford to just hope that it's going away or hope that everyone is going to be on our side or my side. We have to be willing to stay in touch with our own internal emotional security and stay in touch with what we believe and what we understand, and also engage with people and try to come to some kind of a place where we can all have an opinion about this. And either you're not going to talk to people anymore
Mm.
who believe differently from you. That I'm fine with that. Do whatever you have to do. But we can't just keep not talking about it. We can't just keep ignoring it. It's got to be part of the discourse, I think.
Makes me think about how when I started doing improv comedy in North Carolina, and then I moved to Chicago to do improv comedy originally. And I was very much in the school that I was taught in, and very much in the way over there in Chicago at Improv Olympic. Improv was its own art form, and improv used to create writing, as is done in Second City, as is done at Saturday Night Live, is an abomination. And uh,
Right.
as I was there for more and more time, as I started doing some sketch comedy and realizing that improv could lead to some really fun writing, I changed my opinion on it, even though I was kind of brought up in that way. And learning that and understanding that helped me actually to write my first book. It helped me to where I literally kind of used improv-ish prompts as writing prompts. And so I would not have become an author probably if I had stayed fixed in my mindset about the possibility that I might change my opinion over time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the organizational growth curve or the idea diffusion curve, right? There are going to be some people who it takes longer to get out of the fixed mindset, but
Yeah.
I do think we'll eventually all at some point get to a place where we can all have conversations about it, just because I think initially people are so resistant to change in either direction, whatever it
Yeah.
is. And there is always going to be, as we live into this experience together, there's always going to be new things that come up, and new people talking about it, and trying to understand it, and trying to correct some of the problems that we've seen in the past, right? Trying to do it differently, trying to be ethical, trying all of these different things. Like there's so much possibility, in how we can adapt in the future as a industry, regardless of what stance you take about it, right? Like
Mm,
regardless of whether you use it or not, regardless of whether you think it's ethical or not, there's just so much potential for us to still all coexist together and move forward into a better publishing future together.
yeah.
And I know that's my personality talking, but I really believe that it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as a number two positivity strength over here, I'm all about us working together and being
Yeah.
a strong community together. I want to
Yeah.
move into a hot potato of wisdom here, Becca.
Yeah.
So, as we tie this year together a little bit, are there certain strengths that tend to favor using AI tools and being open to AI tools, and or even strengths that cater to going direct and setting up those kinds of stores?
Yes, for sure. Like I'm going to caveat this with, not all people trend toward their type, right? Like there's always
Yeah.
people who are slightly different. So this is not predictive. But for the most part, the people that I see having an easier time using AI, and like just in general, are people who are either futuristic or learner. And
Mm,
part of the reason is because they naturally exist. Like it's no shock, for instance, that Joanna Penn is extremely dominant and futuristic, who's been
yeah.
talking about AI for 5 years already, and who's trying to kind of cast forward, and help everyone understand that this is a curve and it's a disruption and we can get through it and normalize, right? That's what futuristics are great at. And a lot of the people that are more dominant and futuristic have an easier time with change because they can see it coming so much earlier, and they end up being a little bit a little bit more friendly to the adoption curve. And then learners in general, even learners who consider it to be unethical, like consider any one individual tool to be unethically produced, learners still have a little easier time with new tools in general because they're curious by nature. And so
Mm,
they tend to approach topics with a natural curiosity rather than making assumptions about something. And so those two for sure are the ones that I see the most consistently being like having an easier time approaching the topic and thinking about the disruption. And then, of course, you know, with AI in particular, anyone who has a lot to lose, like anyone who is being, either who is afraid of losing a future that they can currently see for themselves, any kind of disruption. It doesn't matter if it's AI or whatever. It could be KU, it could be anything.
yeah.
Um, People with a lot to lose are always going to be more afraid of the future than those who aren't. And so that's also, a reasonable emotional place to be, is feeling like you're not sure what's going to happen in a disruption and you have a lot to lose if things get disrupted. It's reasonable that you would be not excited about the disruption. Like
Yeah.
it's just normal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's definitely some trends there.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. It's scary if you if you have felt secure to suddenly not feel secure.
Yep.
And that's what some people
And not
are
everyone
going
can
through.
name that, right? Like
Yeah.
not everyone knows what that feeling is. They just know that they don't like it or they don't trust it or it feels uncertain, right? So sometimes we look at the outcome of what we're getting and we don't understand how natural and normal the feelings that we're having are because we don't have that objective perspective,
Mm,
which is again one of the reasons. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge fan of Clifton Strengths. And
what?
it's one of the reasons I am such a big fan of it is because it gives us a language to talk about what's different between us in a way that is non-judgmental. Like
Mm,
somebody who doesn't understand positivity can listen to me or Brian describe what positivity is and see like, oh yeah, I get why you would not want to go to a critical place first when you're talking about ideas. Like
right.
I get why you would want to just think about all the possibilities and all, isn't this cool, and let's not go to the critical place yet because your positivity cycle isn't finished yet, right?
Yeah.
So rather than me, because I'm not wired that way, being judgmental about the way that someone else thinks, I can be curious and understand them and maybe let them be who they are and they're not hurting anybody, like let them be that way.
Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons why I think having these conversations is so important, because understanding changes everything. It just changes everything.
I love that. Understanding changes everything. Becca Syme. So, um, Becca, I think you got a hot potato wisdom question for me in here.
I do. I do. So you have been getting more into Enneagram and strengths this year as well, which is
Yes.
not surprising given who you hang out with. But what has learning more about your strengths and Enneagram helped you understand about your writing and your business in 2023?
Well, I definitely think that I'll start with Enneagram because Claire and I hung out a lot these last couple of years. Is
Yeah.
just kind of seeing this sort of achiever slash helper, achiever with a helper wing, kind of try to navigate this desire to always keep doing more, always try to do more, always hit goals and go beyond them and move the goalposts, and realizing that that isn't necessarily leaning into the higher level version of myself has kind of helped me relax that a little bit and realize, okay, well, I can have some things I want to achieve, but I don't have to achieve uh, dominance in everything, because I do have competitive as one of my strengths as well, and so I do think that um, I have learned that setting goals is helpful for me, but I also can't goal myself into oblivion, because I think I think I can do it all and be it all and everything, which is why I have the four businesses. And so
Yeah.
I'm realizing a lot more that I can celebrate my wins, and I can really make sure that I am uh, uh, helping people in a way that is not detrimental to myself. Because a lot of, I mean, I've read a lot of literature on, the helpful Hannahs of the world, and thinking about like, oh, well, if we're always helping other people, we never take care of ourselves. But also, achievers don't always take care of themselves either, because they keep trying to push and push and push and push. So I have some nice double whammies of people who don't take care of themselves in
Yeah.
me. And so I've learned a lot about trying to emphasize my self-care. I've really leaned into exercise and diet this year, and really it's given me a lot more energy. But I have also learned so much from Claire. You don't have to fill the space once you have it, and it's a constant fight I have, and I am still working on it, but I do think that I have gotten better at taking on all the responsibilities, all the hats, and I think the business and the writing and my life have been better for it.
I love that. Good work, Claire. Good job.
Yeah, and to you too. Obviously, learning more about strengths came from you and your team as well.
Yeah.
But yes, Claire's rubbed off on me in a good way. Absolutely,
Yes, she
absolutely.
has. And all
So,
of us.
and
Yeah.
all of us, oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we might have to be extra lightningy this lightning round, which is okay, because we I want the people to hear you talk, Becca. But we do need to make some lightning noises. Now,
Yes.
if you'll defer to, if you just want me to do them, that's fine. But if you want to do a couple lightning sounds, you absolutely can for the
What's
lightning
a
round.
lightning sound?
Just making a noise that sounds like lightning. You, there we go. That was good. I liked.
Okay.
You don't see it on if you're not watching the video, but there was a good hand motion
Yeah,
too.
it had a hand gesture.
Yeah, no, that was really good. That was really good. So, lightning question one, Becca. What was the biggest change you noticed in the author community in 2023?
Yeah. Um this is a big one.
Yeah.
I think more people than ever are starting to feel the saturation of the industry in a way that I think
Mm,
a lot of us who are more objective, like who are working and helping authors, have seen more and have seen coming. And I think more authors than ever are feeling the saturation point in a way that we just hadn't been in the past because the gold rush is over. And
mm,
now people are starting to really feel that and understand it. And that has some natural outgrowth in terms of the way that authors act in spaces. And I have seen it happen probably more than I even thought was possible at the beginning of 2023. And it has had some dangerous, in my opinion, some dangerous growing pains, because when we recognize that what we thought was going to happen may or may not happen, likely won't happen in the way that we thought it would,
mm,
not everyone easily and quickly goes into the okay, great, how do I grieve this? How do I understand it? How do I keep moving forward in this goal that I have of like being an author for my lifetime? And we get caught in sort of tactical stuff. So my hope in our moving forward in the future is to provide some more guidance about how to get that. But what about you? What do you think is the most optimistic news, Mr. Positivity, for authors in
all
2023?
right. Most optimistic news in 2023. Going to 2020 20 I almost said 2020 books. Going to the final
Yeah,
20 books Vegas. There are so many companies that help authors now. There are so
right.
many people that their full-time job is to help authors. And when I was first starting, I came in 2010 with my first book. Um,
Yeah,
first
helping.
self-published book. There was nobody. It was a barren wasteland as far as getting help, and the people who were helping you weren't vetted. You had no author beware. You had no nothing as far as making sure that you were with reputable people. And now, like the people who are scam artists, they get called out pretty quickly, and then they're gone because they can't get work anymore. And so the people who have been around, who have been vetted, who have endured, they have helped so many authors over the years, and it keeps growing and keeps growing. And I'm just so optimistic about the huge community of authors getting the help they need because of the sheer number of people who are actually helping authors.
Nice. I like that positivity. That's good.
Yeah, it's in there. It's right there. Number two. So,
Yep.
Becca,
Yeah.
according to the Written Word Media State of Indie Authorship Survey, nearly 80% of authors surveyed said marketing was the most challenging part of being an author. Why do you think many authors struggle with and listed marketing as the thing they struggle with?
So I'm actually surprised it wasn't higher than
Hmm.
80% just from a
Mm-hmm.
personality perspective. The number of like directly responsible for being good at marketing personality traits is very small,
Yeah.
and they are the most uncommon traits among the larger population of humanity, so not just with writers.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me that most authors find marketing to be challenging from a personality perspective. And also, why would we expect to be good at something that we've never done before? Like most of us have never marketed anything before. And we wouldn't expect ourselves to be able to speak Japanese off like immediately. And never having learned how to do it, never having experienced it before, never having been to Japan before. We would not expect ourselves to do something. But a lot of people feel like they are expected to just be good at marketing because there are people out there who are just good at marketing. So
Uh,
I'm very much not surprised that it's 80%. I would have assumed it was closer to 90, if it was just like a general group of authors getting surveyed. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
that makes total sense. The combo, the I think of video games and like text-based video games when I was a kid, like fantasy stuff. You re-roll your character and you have different strengths, and that combination is just literally rare. I
Yep.
had never thought of it that way, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah. In that same survey, authors earning between 0 and 249 a month had a median of 5 titles published, while authors earning between 5K and 75K per month had a median of 30 books published. How do you think that might impact authors' resolutions in 2024?
So the fact that authors earning more per month have, 6 times as many titles as a median average there, uh, in with their income, it means that rather than, I mean, there's no shoulds allowed this time. I can't. I've tried to not say should anymore because of you, Becca. But um, authors don't necessarily need to say, I'm going to write 10 to catch up next year. I think a lot of it can be establishing better habits that are going to lead to more sustainability over time rather than, oh, I'm going to burn myself out next year so I never get even close to 30. I think that we need to think of things in terms of fives and tens and 20 years rather than thinking of, can we catch up to 30 all in 1 year and publish 25 times? It's just a lot, and
Yes.
we would maybe do ourselves a better service by taking good care of ourselves and establishing a stronger process.
Yeah, if I could impart one thing to authors right now in this
Mm,
industry, it is we have to stop playing by gold rush rules.
mm.
Seeing a version of 5 titles to 30 titles and thinking, "Oh, I got to do this as soon as humanly possible. I got to get to 30 as soon as humanly possible," is gold rush rules. That's what happens when the water is blue, there are no sharks in the water, and all of the food is just there to be had. And you want to do it as quickly as humanly possible. But the gold rush has been over for at least 4 years, if not longer,
Yeah.
and we are now fully in the transition into something else, and we need to stop playing by gold rush rules. There is no version of this industry that is going to be helped by us just trying to go faster. Like, there's no
Mm,
version of it because now we're so far out of the gold rush that we have to think about this version of the industry we're going to be in for the rest of our lives, which has been disrupted in this way, and now it's going to be a different place for the future. So the reason to try to go quickly is gone. And we need to internalize the fact that we're not missing out on anything. We don't have to publish right now. I think that's part of what drives people to do that so quickly, is not understanding that we're playing a different game now than we were playing 5 years ago.
yeah. Can I just say I'm so glad you're here, Becca?
Yeah.
This is the stuff that people need to hear. So, all right. Last question of the lightning round, and then we'll come up with a question of the week together here. What do you do if you're disappointed that you have not done all that you had wanted to here in 2023?
Yeah. So people are not going to like my answer
Ooh.
because uh, the things that we need to give up if we're going to do more are often the things that we're using to cope with how painful life is for us. So
Mm.
things like, it is very easy for me to reach for my phone and get lost on social media all day long and then not have the productivity that I want. And rather than feeling guilty for having done that, because honestly, what else can we do in this day and age when the phone is so accessible and it is often one of the bright spots of our day? And also, if we want to build a different life, we have to acknowledge that what got us here won't get us there. And we have to do something different. And for me, I'm such a fan of like, don't change all the things, just do one thing different. And if I could have people do just one thing different, it would be put your phone in the freaking drawer
Mm,
and leave it there as long as you possibly can in the day and give yourself some of your attention back and some of your own control back. And people are going to not like that because social media is where their friends are, email is where the work is, but so many of us need to reclaim our time.
I
And
love
if
that.
we're disappointed that we're not doing all that we wanted, don't feel guilty that you have done something wrong, because a lot of what we're doing is what we have been programmed to do by a company that wants to own our time. So take your time back.
Yeah, many companies that want to own our time
Yep.
like to
All the
steal it away.
companies.
Um, they make like phone lock boxes of timers and such now, which is always
Yep.
an interesting solution. Um, I did think about how when you said what got you here won't get you there. I read a book by that title and went through it and got to the big what got you here won't get you there, and it was like be nice to your fellow employees and your
Oh,
subordinates, and I'm like, well, dang it, I that's what got me here. You needed to
yeah.
tell me something different. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
The
no, it's
core
so true.
the core of what I mean when I say what got you here
Yeah,
won't get you there is a lot of us are very comfortable in our coping mechanisms, and we're very
yeah,
comfortable in the reasons that we are not getting what it is that we want. And for some of us, it's all we can do right now. Like we're in a difficult time, we're, struggling, it's hard, the holidays are hard. Now may not be the time for you to change. But if you're looking at your day and you're looking at your life and you're thinking, you know, I'm too busy, there's too much going on, the first thing I would try is to put your phone in the drawer and see if you can reclaim some of that time first. And then we talk about we may have to do less stuff. And that's, again, people don't want to hear this, but it's like what you have been doing is getting you the results that you want. So if you want different results, we have to do something different. So what about
yeah.
you? What do you do if you're disappointed that you haven't done all you wanted this year?
Well, I think that there is a mourning period for me that I'm allowed to get sad about it, but I do try to go back to gratitude of just all that I have done, all the people I've been able to help, and focusing on that gratitude usually gets me through the doldrums.
That's super great positivity, though. Like, that's
Mhm.
when we talk about intact skill chains in terms of like, how do you cope with something well?
Yeah,
That's literally textbook use of positivity because that is where you need to get to, is the place where you accept what's happened.
yeah,
But positivity has to be able to see that there's a good thing that might come out of it, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I like
excited.
that.
I like you had emailed me about. I just got in with your wonderful coaching posse over at Patreon, and so I'm excited to learn more about those chains and all the things. I like
Yeah.
learning. I like learning. I don't remember where learner is my top 10, but it's in
I'm sure
there.
it's high. Yeah, I'm
It's
sure
pretty
it's high
high.
for you.
But yeah. We need a question of the week, Becca. I mean, a natural question, if we didn't want to innovate too much here, would be along the lines of what our listeners thought was a bigger story or the biggest story of 2023. But you are the guest. I defer to you. What would you like to ask our listeners for this episode?
Oh, I mean, I would love to know what people are the most excited about for
Oh, I like
2024.
that.
Like, I
I
want to
like that.
know, when you think about getting out of bed with excitement for the writing in 2024, like what just makes you psyched to think about doing that? What are you seeing when you think of that picture?
I love it. Okay, what are you most excited about? What makes you psyched to think about? in 2024? It's in there. That's the question. You can go answer that at sellmorebookshow.com or in the comment section of our Sell More Book Show after party post in our Facebook group. Becca, you're with us for our first of 2024 show as well. But before we sign off today, thank you for being in this episode, of course. And where can people find you and all the wonderful things that you're doing?
The easiest place is betterfasteracademy.com. It's all one word, betterfasteracademy.com. And all of the things that we do will be on that page.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you again, Becca. This was fun. We went a little over. We might have to be shorter in the next episode. We'll have to see. But how could I not let you talk? Because so much of what you say is what makes people say, damn it, Becca. But that means that it is also what they need to hear.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a great week.
Yeah, good. Awesome. Well, for Becca Syme, I'm Brian Cohen. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week for episode 508. Bye.